All right. Well, Miss Crystal, thank you so much for meeting with me today. Thank you for letting me come and observe you. I appreciate that. And so I just kind of wanted to give you some feedback over what I observed the other day. But before we talk about the other day, last week we had set a goal for you to start using equity sticks during circle time. And I noticed this week that the kids were more engaged. I walked by, I saw the kids were using equity sticks. I noticed the kids were more engaged. So great job being consistent with them this week. What do you think made you successful?
I think it was successful because it kind of set the tone for when the students can answer the questions. In
Mhm.
the previous carpet time, there was a lot of issues with kids wanting to talk at the same time, or they felt that it was really unfair that I called one kid, or they would
Yes.
raise their hand and just say me, 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 me. This way, with the equity stakes, they feel that I'm not picking on certain people. It's just they
Yeah.
wait for their name and it works out better for everyone to see how fair it is and for them to get a chance.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I could definitely tell when I walked by. I could tell it was a different feel. So really good. Okay, so let's talk about the lesson that I observed the other day. So, what was your objective or your goal for the activity?
So my objective was for them to be able to recognize the letters that we've been going over the week. We go
Oh,
over the letters of the week,
okay.
and this
Mhm.
week we had letter K and L, and I wanted them to also be able to recognize how it sounds since we've been going over it.
Okay. Okay, good. So, what did you want the student to be able to do by the end of the lesson?
I wanted them to be able to recognize when they heard a word that began with the letter K or L
Okay,
by clapping their hands.
clapping their hands. Okay. So, were any of the students able to meet that objective?
Um, no, I had some students off task,
Mm-hmm.
and I, I feel like maybe there was one that kind of got it, but
Mm-hmm.
most of them didn't get it.
Okay. Yep. So, you mentioned that some of the students were off task. So, what exactly were they doing?
They were moving on their chair, turning, they were grabbing stuff off the shelf,
Okay.
playing with it.
Yes. Okay. Yep. That is some what I observed as well. So, you wanted students to be able to identify the letters of the week, and then there was some actions that they were supposed to do as you were reading the books. Correct?
Yes, they were
Okay.
supposed to clap when they heard the
Okay.
letter.
Right. Okay. So what I've noticed was one student actually did meet their goal. You did have one student that, although there was a lot of other stuff going on, I think they were really trying to do what you had asked because they did see some clapping when they heard the letter sound. So that was good. Um, and then I did notice one student was there. They were kind of engaged. They were kind of copying the other student, so I wasn't 100% sure if they really knew when they were supposed to clap or not. They just saw the one friend clap, and so they clapped. So that student, I wasn't too sure. And then I did notice, you're right, there were two other students that were distracted. I saw them like kind of grabbing stuff off the floor. And so what I also observed is that the two students that were distracted, you did tend to spend a lot of time trying to redirect those students. And I get it, right? You have these students that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, but then, a good, or something that you just mentioned earlier is that you didn't think that any of the students really got the concept. And that might have been because you were so distracted with the other two as well, or trying to redirect, that you didn't notice that you actually did have one student. So she's probably one of your higher level students, but she actually was engaged as best as she could, and she was clapping at the right time. So that was really good. Okay, so then with all that information, the first step that I think we should take is to just make sure that we're engaging all of the students, right? So you had two that were kind of engaged and two that were absolutely not engaged, right? So when we think about that, we have to start thinking about what are the kind of things that they like to do, what are the kind of things that they like to play with, right? So trying to bring our learning into what they're already doing or something that they already enjoy doing. So one idea would be to give them all manipulatives, right? So if they all had, I brought some here to show you, but if they all had little magnetic letters, maybe they all had the letters K and L. So that would be something they could have in their hands and kind of play with. And even if they're kind of playing at the table, that's okay. So maybe you just, every time you hear the sound, they raise the letter, right? Whether they raise the letter K or L, but that gives them something in their hands to kind of keep them engaged. And they're looking and consistently, hopefully looking at the letters that you're teaching that week, right? And then also movement. So I know they were supposed to be clapping. And so that's good, but maybe they might need to stand up and jump, or maybe they wave their hands, maybe something just a little bit bigger, so that they can maybe stay a little bit more engaged. Maybe they make a funny sound, maybe they make the letter sound, right? So just kind of having in the back of your mind a few other things that you could do in case the lesson that you have planned isn't as engaging as you hope for. Because I'll tell you what, I've had plenty of lessons that didn't go as I wanted them to, and it's okay to change it up, right? So another thing I wanted to show you was I have these in my classroom, and I'm sure you have something similar, but they're the alphabots.
Yes.
So if you are doing your, and you were today, you were when I watched you doing the lesson in the ABC Center, right?
Yes.
So if they're grabbing things off the shelves, and let's say that they grabbed the alphabots, well, guess what? The alphabots have the letters K and L. So maybe instead of, having them raise their hand or that, then maybe they're playing with the alphabots and you're like, okay, when you hear the letter K, show me the alphabot, right? So they use this instead. So that if they're already playing with this, it's okay, let them play with it, but let's let them play with the letters that we're working on. And in this way, we're not necessarily changing the objective, maybe just exactly what we're doing, but we still keep them engaged or entertained. And then the third idea that you might think about is I'm not sure the age range of those four students, but you might have, as I know, it's a group of 3 to 5 year olds, right? So those two, if you still aren't able to get them engaged, then maybe you just do a small group with just those two, and maybe do something completely different versus the other two. Because it is difficult when you have that huge range of maybe just turned 3 to almost 5 years old, right?
Yes,
So just kind of,
my
yeah.
group was a mix of 3 and 4 year
Okay,
olds.
yes. And so that also could be something else to consider while you're while you're teaching. So, okay, so what I want us to do is let's just think about, because these are things that I had in my classroom, right? So let's think about, what do you have in your classroom? Let's say we do this, we're gonna practice and model this exact same lesson, right? If you could have a redo, start thinking about maybe something that you could do differently. So I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes, and I just want you to think. You can write it down, just kind of take a few notes about, if you could redo this lesson, what are some other things that you might have ready, or some other things that you might have done? Okay,
Okay.
so I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and I'm also going to write down a few things here. Okay, do you have some ideas?
Uh, yes. So one of the things that you mentioned was to have a smaller group, because I do have those 3 and 4 year olds. The 4 year
Okay.
olds might be at a different level where they
Hmm.
are able to, sit down a little bit more than what a 3 year old would.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I would make it more interactive and a lot more movement, since they were moving around on the chair. I could
Yes.
see that
Yeah. Okay.
how they wanted to get more interactive with it. So I like your idea of
Okay.
having
Good.
them stand up,
Okay.
and then also incorporating some more something so they could physically touch.
Okay. Yes.
And that way they're just not just sitting there staring at me, and
Yeah.
it'll be more
Okay.
interactive and fun for them, because that's what they really want to do. They want to have
Yes.
some fun.
Yes.
We want to make it fun and also a learning experience.
Yes.
For them.
Okay. Oh, I love that. Okay, good. Okay, so we're gonna do some little role play. I'm gonna model for you first as a teacher, and I want you to be one of those students that was, not engaged, playing, having fun, not listening to the activity. And then I'm gonna model something that you can do in that situation. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start off with. I'm gonna start with the lesson. All right. So, hey, Crystal. All right. So, do you remember what letters we're working on this week? Read
Um,
them first. That's okay. So remember, this week we're working on the letters K. Can you say K?
K.
K. And the letter L.
L.
L. All right. Do you remember what sound the letter K makes? Okay, say K. Good job. Like kangaroo
Kangaroo.
and kite.
Kite.
Can you think of any other word that begins with the same sound as kite? Oh, okay, that's okay. What about the letter L? Do you know what sound the letter L makes? Oh, the letter L says ooh,
Ooh.
like lion,
Lion.
lion, or leopard.
Leopard.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to read two books today, and I'm going to start with The Little Lion. Do you see one of our letters of the week that we're working on the front of the book?
Yes.
What letter do you see?
I see this one.
Yep, that's the letter L. L. Can you say L?
L.
Do we have any friends in our classroom that begin with the letter L? Miss Crystal, do we have any friends? Oh, what do you have there? What are those?
Robots.
Oh, you brought the robots. Well, Miss Crystal, I wonder if you can find a letter L in there. Do you think there's a letter L in our robots? Hey. Oh, you found the letter L. Good job. I'm so happy. I love that. All right. So what letter is this? L. Okay, so I want you to hold this and I'm going to start reading the book. And every time you hear me say something that begins with the letter L, what sound does letter L make? Say, oh, yes. Then I want you to wave your robot in the air, okay? All right, Leo. Oh, did you hear that? Wave it, wave it. Yay. Leo is a little lion. Yay. What sound does the L make? Oh, good job. All right, Miss Crystal. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to stop right there. So did you notice the difference? And what are some of the things that I did that were maybe a little different than how you did your lesson?
You adapted to what like the student was doing.
Yes.
So you didn't say put that back or try to take it away. You simply adjusted your lesson to what the child found a little bit more appealing.
Yes. Yes. And so let's say in a situation too, maybe you have two students. There's probably just one letter L in there, but then we also do have the letter K, right? So you may be there because once you give it to one student, probably another student's going to want it, right? That's also something we run into. So it's okay. Maybe let the other student have the letter K, right? Or you even have just the other kind of manipulative so that all the students can have something. And I even have these big fun letters are fun too. So you might even say, okay, well, you get to hold this one. This way, all of the students in the group have it, right? Okay. All right. So now I'm going to let you model. I'm going to be the student and you're going to be the teacher. And so you can give it a try. So you can pick whichever book you want to. And I will be the student. And there we go.
Hey, friend.
Um,
Right. So, do you remember what our letter of the week was?
I don't know.
This letter right here is K. Can you say K?
Hey.
Do you know what sound this letter makes? As in kitchen.
Oh, kitchen.
Do you want to hold this?
Yes, thank you.
So that is letter K.
Yay. Oh, my friend's name starts with K,
That's
like Kinsley.
Right. Yes, Kinsley.
Yay.
Good job.
Yay.
So I'm going to read this book, friend.
Okay.
And when I read a word that begins with the letter K, you can hold that letter up for me.
Okay.
All right. The kitchen.
Kitchen.
Hold it up. Kitchen begins with the letter K.
Yes.
Kate.
Kate
Is in the kitchen.
kitchen.
Good job.
Look what I found.
All right.
Look.
Letter L is the other letter of the week.
Look, I have green and I have blue.
Right. Do you know what sound the letter L makes?
Just like Leilani. I have a friend, Leilani.
Yes, Leilani name starts with the letter L. Can you make the sound?
Oh,
or Leilani.
Okay, I
or
like this
lion.
one. Okay, yes, Leilani.
Okay, so remember, hold it up when you hear the letter K. A kitten kitten
Kitten.
is in the kitchen. Good
Kitchen.
job. Was that something that?
Yes, awesome. Okay, so that was great. How did you feel? How did that feel to you?
Um, I felt a little when he held up the other letter.
Mm-hmm.
When you held up the other letter, it was kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, let's incorporate that letter and then kind of
Yes.
bring it back to the
Yeah.
letter K.
Yes. I think what you did was great because again, if we say put that down, leave it alone, then they're already done talking to you, right? Like it's done. You don't want me to do this. And you were quick with it. We talked about it. You didn't ignore it or dismiss what I was doing. You talked about the letter L, so that was great. And then you went back to the letter K. So I think that was really, really good. That was perfect. One other thing you did that I really liked was you started in the beginning with the letter. You didn't even give me, I was ready to come and play with these, but you didn't even give me a chance to play with these because you had already given me this. And so that's exactly what we're looking for, right? Is that we're not even worried about what's on the shelf because you gave me this and I was already playing with this. And like I said, the waving is kind of fun. And there's so much opportunity for that cave. Like it's almost every other word. So if they really do have something already in their hands to do, to play with, to move with, then they're already engaged. And yep, the child was distracted for a minute, but what you did was perfect. So same thing, if they'd have grabbed something else, you just adapt really quick. And then you did a good job of like, okay, let's finish the book and let's come back into here. So it was awesome.
Thank you.
Really good. Okay. All right. So this is something then that I'm going to come back and I want to observe you doing. I'll come in sometime next week. So what do you think would be a good day to come back and watch you?
I'll say maybe a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Wednesday, because that way we've already introduced the letters and we've
Okay.
already reviewed them a little
Okay.
bit. And then Wednesday, I feel like
We'll be ready.
they'll be ready to
Okay.
do the
Awesome.
letters small group.
Okay, well then I will schedule, I'll try to get you, hopefully I can get in there on Wednesday. I'm sure that we hopefully won't have any absent teachers, but I'm sure I'll be able to do that. All right, great. Well, do you have any questions for me?
I just have a small question. So
Yeah.
I did have the four friends. So do
Yes.
you suggest bringing down the number? So
So I would think it would depend on your students. So I think with maybe the two students that are, if you do have some that are really active, I think two is probably a pretty good number. I even have had instances where I have to just do a small group with one child because I know that they really cannot focus with other kids around them. And then also thinking about how much manipulatives you have, right? So you only have maybe two big letters, right? So maybe two students max. But now you, the student in your original group that was able to participate, you might could do a whole group of, of four if they're all a little bit older and able to stay engaged. Then I would definitely say keep those groups at 3 to 4. But yeah, when you have those students, especially those 3-year-olds that are really struggling to focus, having I think two at the most is probably going to be beneficial to you and to them because you're able to give them more attention and you're able to, if they get off task for a minute, you can go off task with them for a second without any other students getting disengaged because your other friend was enjoying the lesson, but she was kind of unfortunately kind of left off to the side because you were dealing with the ones that were, so yeah, I think for sure two is a good idea if you have those really active students. So great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
thank you. These sound like great ideas.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank
Great.
you.
You're welcome.